Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Hub, where our goal is to cut through the noise and get straight to what matters. Tonight, we're re-looking at a storyline that's getting a lot of attention in global financial circles. Some are even calling it one of the biggest potential moments in modern economic history. Reports coming in from financial hubs around the world, from Baghdad to Hanoi, say analysts and investors are watching a developing situation tied to the long-discussed global currency revaluation. The spotlight is on one specific moment: the expected public acknowledgement of major changes to the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese Dong. And according to the narrative, all eyes are on 8 p.m. tonight. For years, people have talked about the possibility of these currencies going through a major shift. It's been debated, analyzed, doubted, and hoped for. Now, the conversation is that this long period of waiting might finally be coming to an end. The excitement described in different financial groups is definitely building. Communication lines are active, updates are flying around, and specialized banking centers are said to be preparing behind the scenes. Supporters of this narrative say this isn't the usual collection of rumors and recycled claims, but rather the result of years of preparation, reforms, and global coordination that seem to be merging into a single moment. As markets finish their trading for the day and global systems move into their settlement cycles, banks are rumored to be gearing up for synchronized system updates. Many see this timing as a major indicator that something important could be unfolding. Some institutions are reportedly already starting to adjust or recalibrate their internal currency rates, a step that suggests the infrastructure for a revaluation is being actively prepared rather than merely discussed. Normally, large banking changes are done quietly after hours, so they don't disrupt anything. But insiders say tonight feels very different from a typical schedule update. What stands out, according to analysts watching this, is the level of coordination being reported involving Iraq's central bank, Vietnam's state bank, and several major European institutions all at once. This type of synchronized activity is unusual, and for many, it signals a planned, multi-party financial event. When Tier 1 banking networks begin updating protocols at the same time, it often points to a potential public adjustment in currency rates. For those who've been following this story for more than a decade, this alignment is being interpreted as the confirmation they've been waiting for, the moment when speculation starts turning into action. Let's start with Iraq. The country has been working for years to rebuild economic strength and credibility. Since 2023, Iraq's government and central bank have reportedly pushed through deep structural reforms aimed at restoring trust in its financial system. These reforms weren't small tweaks, they were major steps toward meeting global standards. They strengthened anti-money laundering controls, stabilized oil revenue management, and moved the country toward more transparency in financial reporting. Prime Minister al-Sudani's administration has been credited with modernizing banking technology, improving foreign exchange procedures, and increasing oversight throughout the system. One of Iraq's big accomplishments, according to reports, was reconciling more than $90 billion in previously untracked assets, a massive undertaking. This wasn't just about cleaning up numbers. It was about rebuilding a foundation for Iraq's return to global financial credibility. Many believe that the efforts made over the past few years are now converging, leading directly into the events being discussed tonight. In this view, the dinar's potential revaluation isn't sudden, it's the result of long, difficult, and intentional work. Vietnam's story moves in a similar direction, but with its own unique angle. Over the past decade, Vietnam has gone through significant transformation, shifting from a low-cost manufacturing hub into one of Asia's most dynamic and tech-forward economies. The State Bank of Vietnam has been a major force behind this evolution, pushing digital transformation into every part of the system. Reports mention blockchain-based reporting tools, AI-driven monitoring, and major upgrades across the financial sector. Combined with strong economic performance, these changes helped Vietnam grow its foreign reserves from modest levels to more than $130 billion, a major sign of stability. For years, the Vietnamese Dong has been considered undervalued on purpose to support exports. But analysts now say the country has reached a point where a realignment makes sense. With strong reserves, better technology, and consistent growth, Vietnam appears ready for a new chapter. Many believe the timing of this potential move is no coincidence, that it's intentionally synchronized with Iraq's long-term monetary reforms. Zimbabwe is also being talked about in this broader global narrative. After facing some of the worst inflation ever recorded, the country launched gold-backed digital tokens in 2024. These tokens are theoretical, they were said to be directly tied to audited gold reserves. This created one of the world's first hybrid asset-backed digital currencies, blending the stability of gold with blockchain transparency. Early results have been positive. Inflation slowed. Confidence started returning, and investors began taking interest again. Zimbabwe's approach is now being referenced as an example of how struggling economies can rebuild using asset-based systems combined with modern technology. For many global analysts, the alignment of Iraq, Vietnam, and Zimbabwe forms a trio of rising economic stories. Each one is centered on asset-backed principles, whether through oil, manufacturing strength, or precious metals. This broader discussion suggests a shift away from purely fiat currencies and toward financial systems supported by real, verifiable assets. According to the narrative around tonight's events, this shift could reshape how global financial power is defined. As the clock moves closer to the expected time, financial institutions in both the US and Europe are rumored to be preparing for potential rate adjustments. These types of updates usually happen at night during settlement windows when banks sync their ledgers. The speculation is that these systems could update to reflect new currency values. Some insiders describe the atmosphere as the quiet moment right before a major financial shift, the calm before the currency storm. In the US, reports say certain redemption centers have extended their hours and increased staffing. These centers are specialized locations authorized to process large foreign currency exchanges. Their teams are trained for detailed verification and security checks. Their heightened readiness is being interpreted by some as a sign that these potential changes are moving into an active phase, rather than remaining theoretical. A key point being emphasized in these reports is that any real process will be structured, legal, and fully regulated. Large-scale financial transitions don't happen quietly in back rooms or through social media messages. They move through proper channels with full documentation and oversight. If and when exchanges begin, every participant will go through strict ID checks. Every note will be authenticated, and every transaction will be digitally recorded. The message from financial professionals is clear. Stay calm and stick to legitimate procedures. There's also a lot of discussion about what this means for the US dollar. Despite online speculation, analysts argue that a dinar or dong revaluation would not weaken the dollar. Instead, they say it could strengthen the global system overall by bringing more balance and stability to international trade. The dollar would remain the world's primary currency for liquidity. If other currencies rise to fair market value, the result could actually be smoother global transactions, reduced manipulation risks, and increased activity moving through American markets. For Iraq, a stronger dinar would mean more than just improved currency value. It could increase citizens' buying power, boost the government's spending ability, and help rebuild major sectors like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. With greater stability, foreign investors may also see Iraq as a more reliable market, similar to how Vietnam attracted huge investment after its reforms in the 2010s. Some forecasts suggest Iraq's GDP could grow significantly in the first year after a revaluation. Vietnam could also see a major boost. Stronger dong would improve purchasing power, stabilize inflation, and make imports cheaper. With modernized financial systems, including blockchain-integrated reporting, Vietnam could attract even more institutional investment. Some analysts project growth of around 7% following a major revaluation, driven by higher wages, strong reinvestment, and rising demand. Zimbabwe's progress is quieter, but potentially groundbreaking. By tying its digital currency to audited gold reserves, the country is offering a real example of asset-backed stability. Early forecasts even suggest the Zimbabwean dollar could rise significantly over the next 18 months. For a nation once known for catastrophic inflation, this turnaround is remarkable. Beyond numbers, this entire narrative has an emotional impact. Many people who have held onto these currencies for years, sometimes decades, have often been mocked or dismissed. Tonight's expected events, if they unfold as described, would serve as a form of validation for their patience. But with excitement comes risk, and experts warn that these moments attract scams.